Introduce committee staff. To my left is Director of Legislative Research, Ben Thompson. His staff, Lamont Rainey. Can you stand up, Lamont, so see? Lamont Rainey and Tim Erickson. Is Tim here?
We'll be here shortly.
Okay. And to my far left is our committee clerk, Grant Latimer. And now I would like senators to introduce themselves, starting with my far right.
Good morning. My name is Senator Carol Blood, and I represent District 3, which is Western Bellevue and Southeastern Papillion, Nebraska.
Tom Breezy, District 41.
Tom Brewer, District 43.
Suzanne Geis, District 25.
John Lowe, District 37.
I'm assuming the rest will be with us shortly. I would like to remind our committee members to speak directly into the microphones. For our audience, the microphones in the room are not for amplification, but for recording purposes only. Last, we are an electronics equipped committee. Information is provided electronically as well as in paper form. Therefore, you may see committee members referencing information on their electronic devices. Be assured your presence here today and your testimony are important to us and critical to state government. I'd also want to mention that over the weekend, the redistricting public letter email was down. We apologize, it was a technical issue. Public letters can be submitted now. It's working, right? It's working now. And we ask that when you submit letters for the record, they include a bill number. Letters can be submitted until noon today, right? Okay. I am here. So now I'm going to hand this over to my colleague, Vice Chairman Justin.
Thank you. Thank you. And I do apologize for being late. I was telling my staff that I was going to take the morning off from redistricting and I'll be ready for the 1:30 hearing. And they reminded me that it's starting in 2 minutes. So, so that's how my morning's going. But I was really ready. I was going to get prepared. I blocked out a whole hour at noon for the 1:30 hearing. So, all right. Welcome to your committee.
Good morning. I'm Luann Linehan, L-O-U, capital A-N-N, capital L-N, capital L-I-N-E-H-A-N. I represent Elkhorn, Waterloo, and Valley in Legislative District 39. I'm here to introduce legislative bills 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8. First, I would like everyone to recognize this is a difficult process. No one likes change, but due to population shifts, many changes are necessary. No map will win the approval of all, but today is the public's opportunity to weigh in, and we welcome your input. LB1, which is a congressional map, ensures minority voices are protected. Both the Black minority majority and the Hispanic minority majority legislative districts remain in District 2, Congressional District 2. LB1 follows clearly recognizable boundaries. It is necessary to select counties to ensure we keep the one person, one vote principle and keep the deviation at 0% between the 3 congressional districts. LB3 is a legislative redistricting map, which creates a new district in Sarpy County. We have 3 legislative districts that are heavily overpopulated. We have 33 legislative districts which are underpopulated. And clearly, since there aren't 33 legislative districts in the 3rd congressional district, all the districts that are underpopulated are not in rural Nebraska, which I think too many people don't grasp. Legislative District 39, my own, Legislative District 10, represented by Senator DeBoer, and Legislative District 49, represented by Senator Day, have a combined 40,000 voters too many. That would make up a new district. We did not, I know you could say we removed 24, but what the effort was, committee, instead of replacing a complete rural district, is to merge two rural districts. So we merged 23 and 24, which would leave Seward, Nebraska in a legislative district of which they would be the population center. The smallest changes are in Kearney and Grand Island, because those cities both have enough population to create their own legislative district. LB5 is the Public Service Commission map. LB6 is the Supreme Court map. LB7 is a state school board map. There are members on this committee who have issues with the way this map is drawn, and we're here today to hear from the public on how to address these issues. LB8 is the Nebraska University Board of Regents map. I was pretty short with my intro yesterday. I'm going to address an editorial that was in the World Herald this morning because it's very, well, it has substantial errors. It says that Nebraskans may be surprised to learn that the map would redraw districts to undercut the re-election chances of two independent-minded Republicans who dared to support overriding a gubernatorial veto. It is, neither map does that. Both maps try very hard to make sure that Senator Dorn and Senator Brandt still have districts, and they're mostly rural. It also goes on that we would eliminate outright District 24. Strangely, though, it doesn't say that the other map would eliminate outright District 44. So again, we merged the district. Senator Wayne's map eliminates a rural, completely rural district. It says, in addition to targeting swing vote Republicans, which I don't know the definition of that, frankly, it hobbles the re-election for opportunities for several Democrat incumbents in Western and North Central Douglas County. First of all, there are not several Democratic incumbents in Western and North Central Douglas County. They aren't several. We do have districts that meet between Western Douglas County and Eastern Douglas County that are competitive races now. And two of those races, and also there's another one in Sarpy County. In both of those races, the last time there were elections, both incumbents won by 100 or a few 200 votes. They're competitive now. I could go on, but maybe I'll save the rest of my frustration with editorial for our closing. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you.
Good morning, Vice Chairman Wayne.
Good morning, Chairwoman Linehan and members of the Revenue Committee. That's where I usually testify in this room, I think. But we'll go with Redistricting Committee today. My name is Justin Wayne, Justinwayne, and I represent Legislative District 13, which is North Omaha and Northeast Douglas County. I'm only opening on LB4 and LB2. I do want to note that LB7 and LB8 my office has, and that is the State Board of Education and Board of Regents. We have been getting a lot of feedback. And so we are looking at alternatives. My staff has drawn a couple. We are trying to work with the public on addressing some of those concerns. But the reason I'm opening on these two in particular is because they have the most differences in how we will move the legislative map and the congressional map forward. LB2 adopts a redistricting plan for 3 congressional districts I put forward after feedback from many of my colleagues. I won't spend a lot of time going through the LR 134, which kind of are the guidelines and the guideposts in which we came up with, we as a body and we as a redistricting committee, of how we should establish them and how we should try to follow those guidelines. But I do want to point out a couple things to the public. The results of the 2020 census reveals that Nebraska's population has continued to shift heavily from the west to the east, resulting in a shift of nearly 100,000 people between the current congressional districts. CD1 grew slightly, just over 6,000 people of the ideal population. CD2 grew significantly with more than 47,000 people over the ideal population, and CD3 lost population of more than 53,000 under the ideal population. I'm going to give a brief history. I won't go quite like I did into it yesterday, but tomorrow I will go a little more deeper into the Douglas County, because we will be in Douglas County for that hearing. What should be noted that Douglas County really is since 1867, when we were admitted or started to toy with the idea of becoming a state, was kept whole. Since we became a state and starting in 1882, Douglas County was always intact as a whole district, first in CD1, but then moving to CD2 by 1962, and has remained since 1962 CD2 core. Obviously, my proposal would not split Douglas County, because I believe there is no logical or justifiable reason to split the core of CD2 that has been established for more than 130 years. In light of that, the fundamental question for me was where to draw the Sarpy County line, which has been a part of CD2 in whole or in part for as long as I can remember. Again, going through the criteria that was established in 134, LR 134, we began looking at the communities in Sarpy County, and I believe the city of Bellevue has the most in common with the city of Omaha and Douglas County, followed closely by the city of La Vista, which Bellevue also borders, and La Vista also borders the city of Omaha. I want to remind this committee that up until 2011, congressional district CD2 included most, if not most of the eastern half of Sarpy County, encompassing all of the city of Bellevue and all of city of La Vista and roughly half of the city of Papillion. During the 2011 redistricting, the legislature opted to radically alter CD2 by moving Bellevue to Congressional District 1, the first congressional district, while Western Sarpy County shifted to Congressional District 2. Under my proposal, much of the city of Bellevue would be restored to CD2, roughly from Fort Creek Road to Fontenelle Forest in the east to the Highway 370 on the south. The plan also retains much of the city of La Vista in the second congressional district east of 96th Street. In order to create a compact and contiguous boundary and to ensure that we didn't draw the incumbent congressman into a different district, my plan also includes part of the city of Papillion in the second district east of 84th Street and mostly north of Highway 370. I just want to note a little bit about the first and the third. Under my proposal, we would shift all of Platte and Polk counties into District 3, from District 3 to the first district, along with most of Odo County. My plan splits exactly 2 counties, Odo and Sarpy, in order to achieve the numerical equality that must exist between all 3 districts. Congressional district boundaries adopted by the legislature have to achieve almost absolute equality between the districts to pass constitutional muster. While I think that many different reasonable congressional plans could be drawn, I am certainly open to other potential ways to draw congressional district boundaries. The simple fact is Douglas County has to remain wholly contained in its entirety in the same congressional district since the state was admitted in the union, and I think that should not change. I quoted last time, I don't often agree with former Governor Dave Heineman, but he also agreed that Douglas County should remain wholly in the second congressional district. Turning to LB4, and I will spend a little bit of time on LB4 because it deals with legislative maps and a lot of changes kind of in this area. In 2020, let's go back to 2010. In 2010, this body, the legislature, and a committee formed just like this, was dealing with the same population loss in Western Nebraska. LD 47, which is currently Senator Erdman's district, lost 15.5%. LD 42 lost 13.4%. LD 44 lost 13.3%. This is current. And LD 43, Brewer's district, lost 11.7%. Those are the four highest lost population. Meanwhile, three districts, as Senator Linehan had pointed out, in Douglas and Sarpy County, gained the most. Senator Linehan's own district gained 48%, that's LD 39. Senator Day, LD 49, gained 31%, and Senator DeBoer, LD 10, gained 30%. In light of these changes, in order to ensure that we follow LR 134 and the Constitution, we have to look at moving a legislative seat into the Douglas and Sarpy County area. My plan does just that. We move LD 44, Southwest Nebraska, to Western Douglas and Sarpy County. From a historical perspective, this is something the legislature has always done. This is not Justin picking on Senator Hughes. This is not urban versus rural. This is the past precedent that we have followed in this body since we became a unicameral. In 2010, the population loss in Western Nebraska was almost identical to what we have in 2020. LD 43 lost 16.54%. LD 49 lost 14.94%. LD 47 lost 13%. LD 44 lost 11.43%. What the legislature did in 2011 is similar to what my plan does. It moved LD 49 from Western Nebraska to Sarpy County. While LD 49 had not seen the most population loss of those districts, the incumbent Senator Loudon, was term limited the following year. That is the exact same reason that we chose 44, because Senator Hughes is slated to be term limited in 2022. It is important to note that once a senator is elected, they have a constitutional right to serve a 4-year term. And when you look around that district, Senator Brewer was just elected. Senator Erdman was just elected. So that's, again, why we went with LD 44, moving it here. I do want to point out that there are a number of legislative changes that you see in rural area. Existing splits between Box Butte County Alliance and Otoe County, Nebraska City are eliminated, making that county whole. Dixon County would be split over in order to provide necessary additional population to LD 17, Senator Albright, but the result of that split actually results in unifying communities of Wakefield and Emerson. Both Wakefield and Emerson actually straddle the county line currently, so moving them into the boundary into Dixon County places them wholly within LD 17. The only remaining split county that wasn't already split would be Phelps County in south central Nebraska. While it is numerically impossible to keep the county whole because the city of Holdridge would remain intact under the current legislative district LD 38, which is Senator Merman. The census results reveal that there are significant growth in Lancaster County. I just want to point this out since we are in Lancaster County. But the reality is there is not enough numbers to add an entire district to Lancaster County. Particularly, in fact, the two existing districts are already partially contained in southern Lancaster County. Growth in Lancaster County was largely concentrated in LD 21, which is Senator Hilgers, LD 25, which is Senator Geist, and LD 30, which is Senator Dorn. Because LD 30 already needed to lose population, LD 32 was already within and LD 32, Senator Brandt, was already within the allowable deviation. It became necessary to move portions of an additional district into Lancaster County. My plan moves portions of LD 24, Senator Coulterman, into Western Lancaster, which creates good communities of interest since many of the Seward and York residents already commute to Lincoln for work. The city of Waverly shifts from LD 25 to LD 21, with LD 25 effectively becoming a second South Lincoln district, LD 21 remains its core area in northwest and northern Lancaster County. In order to make all of Lincoln area district fit within allowable deviation, the boundary of LD 32 shifts more to southern Lancaster County into the Hickman area, drawing the Lancaster County districts in a way that prevents the need to split Gage County and other altering existing boundaries of 30 and 32 is what our plan tries to accomplish. Just last thing about Omaha. Nope, okay, skip that. We'll talk about Omaha and Omaha. Taking a step back from our overall plan, the aim is to create legislative districts that follows county lines, have easy identifiable boundaries, and maintain existing district cores and boundaries to the greatest extent possible. I am certain that there will be a number of individuals who will talk about both plans, but I do want people to understand this is a long process, and I hope we get feedback, constructive feedback, to help move this process along. And with that, I'll answer any questions, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Senator Wayne. Are there any questions from the committee? Senator Blood?
Thank you, Chairwoman Linehan. Senator Wayne, I don't remember you saying this before. What did you just say, that a large portion of the people in Seward commute to work in Lincoln?
I said, the trend seems to be where those from York and Seward are commuting to Lincoln, it creates a community of interest by moving part of Seward into the Lancaster County to keep that contiguous.
I was looking at, unfortunately, I don't have anything from last year, but it looks like over 25% of the population does commute. Does that sound right?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Blood. Senator Lowe?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Senator Wayne, for bringing these trees to us. You had brought up that term limited senators are the ones we are looking at when we want to move a district. Has term limits made it easier to move districts out of western Nebraska to eastern Nebraska?
Yes and no. It made it easier, obviously, this round, if it were to move. That was my logic. And last round with Senator Loudon. But 39, 31, all were moved prior to term limits being established. And those also moved from west to urban area. So I think moving forward, if we keep the same process, yes. But the same number of seats have moved prior to term limits. But if you want to help me get rid of term limits, I'm all for that.
Thank you, Senator Lowe. Senator Breezy?
Thank you, Chairman Linehan. And Senator Wayne, I've heard 2 days in a row here how Douglas County has been kept whole relative to congressional districts for 140 years or so. But based on the growth of Douglas County relative to the growth of the entire state, isn't it fair to conclude that the next redistricting, Douglas County may have to get split up? And it's probably likely that it'll have to get split up at least by the following redistricting after that. And if so, what's the plan?
Well, if we get rid of term limits, I'll be here maybe to help solve that. But no, but to your point though, and yes, if the growth continues to happen in 10 years, Douglas County would most likely have to be split. But what I would say to that argument is that is the same argument rural senators are using in LB4 by saying that, well, it's the same argument that I could use in LB4. In 10 years, another seat will probably have to be moved to Lancaster County. So let's just move 2 now. And your argument's going to be no. Let's wait and see what the data is 10 years from now. So my reply back would be, before we split Douglas County now, preemptively, let's wait and see what the data is 10 years from now. So yes, probably, but that same logic would be another rural seat would probably have to be leaved too. So if that's the logic for splitting Douglas County, then that should be the same logic for adding 2 legislative seats to both Lancaster and Douglas County today.
You mean 1 each?
1 each.
And you're reasonably confident that we could not redistrict legislatively without completely picking up a district and moving it?
This is a conversation that Senator Erdman and I have had for a week and a half now. By trying to do simple math. So let's just have a quick dialogue because I know people want to talk. If we do 42% or 42,000, rural would be able to retain one, or would be able to shift more in Linehan's district map. If we do 38,000, which is both within deviation, rural would actually lose 2 seats, one to Lancaster and one to Douglas County, Sarpy County. Either way you do that, when you actually sit down and do the map, it doesn't work out. And what I mean by that is our districts have to be contiguous. And the problem is, if you were to look at this first map, it has this population, no matter how you draw it, you have Custer County with 10,000, Dawson with 24,000, Buffalo with 50,000, and then way up in the north middle, you have Holt County with 10,000, and then on the northeast side, you have Dakota County with 21,000. To throw in an extra curveball, you have Scottsbluff with 36,000 and Box Butte with 10,000. So if you try to keep counties whole the best you can, there's no way to simply divide the math. Else you have to split literally cities. And what we were trying to do is not split cities and counties the best we can, which is constitutionally required. So if it was a simple math equation that Senator Erdman has said over and over, I would agree. But when you look at the geographical location, and I guess for those who are looking at home and those who are watching, from Holt County to Dakota County, there is no way to only have one district there. You gotta have 2. So both of those are gonna be negative in a sense of the deviation because they're not gonna have enough population to go to 42. So they're gonna be around 39 most of the time, unless you add in Antelope, which would go into kind of your area to balance it out. The problem is where some of the population is, mathematics just it's not as clean as dry as I would like it to be.
I would suggest in the name of preserving the core of the existing districts, it is possible to do quite a bit here by utilizing the allowable deviation. And so when you reference, the need to, or the possibility of being proactive and moving 2 legislative districts east, I think that doesn't make sense to me anyway. I don't think, technically, in theory, we don't have to move even one.
In theory, we have to move one. There's no way around because there is only one district in Douglas County that lost significant population, which is LD 8, Senator Hunt's district. The fact that the growth of LD 10, 39, and 49 was big enough to be a district, there's no way mathematically we have to put a district somewhere between Sarpy County, Douglas County, in that area, because you can't, without maintaining all our constitutional principles, just shift everybody over.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Blood, thank you, Senator Breezy, Senator Blood, and then Senator Brewer.
Thank you, Chairwoman Linehan. Senator Wayne, I need you to clarify something for me. So yesterday, we heard a lot of great testimony from rural Nebraska. I'm from rural Nebraska originally. It was nice to be able to hear from different parts of the state because we don't always have that benefit. But the concern that we kept hearing over and over again is don't move this county because this county is important to my county, which is important to the next county. That creates our own type of, be it political subdivision, be it community, be it, please don't do that. But yet a lot of the same people that are supporting that are saying, cut Douglas County in half. So can you explain to me what you're hearing as to why it's okay to cut a great urban area that's really important to Nebraska, because there's a lot of tax base that comes from there, in half, but it's not okay to potentially move things around in the West? And I know that's a hard question, but that's the one thing that I I hear this from other senators too, where they're saying, hey, it's okay to do that, but don't do this. But yet you're both talking about the same thing. Sorry, I know it's a hard question, but I think it needs to go on record.
No, there's a hard political answer, and then there's just reasons that are legitimate. And one can argue there's a hard political answer that people are trying to split CD2. I don't get into that. If you look at our maps, we didn't get into politics at all. At the end of the day, the blue dot would not have been deleted or changed under Senator Linehan's map. Let's just be transparent about that. But there is a real argument, and I think there is a real argument about, and it happens in this body all the time, urban versus rural. There is a real argument about rural voices being heard. And why I can relate to that is because there's a real argument of North Omaha voice being heard. So rather than get into the politics of it, I think the mayors who put an editorial together about Sarpy County and why splitting Sarpy County, because a comment was said 10 years ago by a Republican senator who happened to be urban, that it's just the rest of it. That's the rest of it are people. And so I think there is a real debate outside of the political noise about a growing population in Sarpy County that wants their congressional district or their voice to be heard. I agree with that part. I don't believe in sacrificing the core of something that's been established for over 100 years to achieve that. And if you look at our legislative maps, we are trying to do the same. Although we are removing a Western senator, we are trying to keep the core together. And I think everybody here is trying to keep the core together. It's just, which core are you trying to hear the best? And I believe Douglas County being whole must happen and must remain. Others may not, but I don't think it's truly I don't get into the noise of the editorial, so I just don't truly think it's political as people think it is. I think it's really people trying to make sure their districts are heard. And the reason I can relate to that is because my community has been left behind by so long that we're trying to figure out how to make sure Senator McKinney and I are heard on this floor.
So I appreciate that, Senator Wayne, because I do think that some folks feel that certain maps might be more political than others, and that is not necessarily the case, and that many of us have worked together to try and keep this as nonpartisan as possible. And that's what I hear you saying. And you did your best to follow the guidelines.
Correct.
And we try to stay within the Constitution.
Correct.
Thank you.
And we, I believe Senator Linehan and I fundamentally disagree on where the core should be in CD2, not the people they're trying to vote.
Fair enough.
If that makes sense.
Thank you, Senator Blood. Senator Brewer.
I walked the tightrope on that one because I wanted to say a lot more.
Thank you, Chairwoman Linehan. First off, Senator Wayne, I have seen the work you put into doing this, and I commend you for it. It takes a lot of time to take and move those little blocks and make them all fit if the numbers come up the way they want. And you know, it's part of what has to be done, but I'm just going to plant a seed here. We talked about it yesterday, but sometimes it's not fair to ambush some poor soul that comes into that chair who isn't part of the process on issues because they don't have the oversight that you have. So if we go with your plan, and actually for my district, wherever it shakes out, you know, like I said yesterday, we're going to be on it. We're going to go there. We're going to take care of the people. We're going to do what we need to do. But I think that we are on a course, the way that we're shifting everything to the east, that we will find a point. Where that is, I don't know, but I think we're very close to it, where it is physically impossible to represent a district because of its size. Now, if we go with your plan, my district would start at Wheeler in Garfield County, which essentially is on a southern vertical line from O'Neill, and I would go to the Wyoming border. So that's the equivalent of going from North Platte to the Iowa line. That's one district. do you see at a point when your district gets so big that you're talking about dozens of towns, dozens of schools, thousands of miles of roads and bridges, that one district would become unmanageable, and then a district, like we talked yesterday, that may have a couple dozen blocks in Lincoln or Omaha, the city of Lincoln or Omaha would take care of most of those needs. And yet your staff and your responsibilities for both of those giant pieces of turf, and like we talked yesterday, this will be the size of Croatia, the country of Croatia, that all have as a district. Now, understand that we have to go through this process, and part of it is figuring out what this magic looks like. But I think there's no way to deny the fact that, say, in 10 years, 47 and 43 are combined, and now literally half of the state of Nebraska is a district. You see where the concern is, that there is a point we could have a point of no return where you can't do justice to your district because it's more than is physically possible.
So first, there is no senator I would rather lead Croatia than you.
Thank you.
Second, after spending time with you out there, I deeply appreciate what you're saying. The issue is growth in population. And I can't ignore our constitutional duty to make sure we have one person, one vote, because it's going to drive too long. But what I can do, and what I will do, and I think you've seen me help, when it comes to growing rural Nebraska, I will 100% support that. We did that last year with Inland Port. We did that last year with the Spur Line project. We did that 2 years ago, and again last year with affordable housing, rural workforce affordable housing. That is where what you are talking about is a fundamental issue of growth, and those are policy decisions that I have no problem working with you on to make sure in 10 years you do get a legislative seat back. I just can't ignore the Constitution right now in order to do so.
I think that's a great answer. Thank you.
Okay, Senator, thank you, Senator Brewer, Senator Breezy, and then Senator Lowe.
Thank you, Chair Linehan. I've heard,
What were these questions yesterday so I could prepare for today?
They've had time to think.
Wait till tomorrow.
I've heard the Constitution brought up several times yesterday and today. But just so we're clear here, the Constitution doesn't require adherence to county lines in all situations, right? The Constitution requires it wherever quote unquote practicable, correct?
Yes, wherever it's practical.
Okay. And the Constitution also does not require mathematical certainty in the splitting of legislative districts relative to population, correct?
I would disagree with you on that.
Deviations are allowed in furtherance of legitimate redistricting goals, correct?
Reasonable deviations. Anything over 7% in other states have been thrown out. We are at 5% deviation, so we at least have guidelines.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Breezy. Senator Lowe.
Thank you, Chairwoman. And Senator Wayne, we brought up moving lines and keeping our counties whole but don't we split up communities? I mean, Alliance was split up down the middle. Nebraska City was split up. There have been towns of 400 people that were split. So we do divide things. And as Douglas County continues to grow, that's inevitable that will also have to be done. And somebody one time said, no better time than the present. But I'll just continue. And as we move districts from either east central Nebraska or southwest Nebraska, with term limits, it's become easier. But the people of the communities, the people of the counties run those counties. They do a good job. We are here just temporarily now, just 8 years, or unless you decide to come back, we get a reprieve and we get to come back. It's not so much the senators, that the districts run these communities and the counties. We're just a voice. And it all depends on who you elect to be a good voice or a bad voice. You may not want that senator to represent you anymore.
Sure.
So moving counties, moving boundaries, it's just paper. We will still represent the people. If I was moved out of my district, I would still represent the people of central Nebraska and the people of Nebraska.
So in response to that, I'll give an example. Yesterday, both Senator Linehan and myself were stopped in Grand Island. And in my map, I cut off like 4 blocks of Grand Island that would make them drive to a town that's 20 minutes away. To your point, we are going to fix that. And whether it's my map or Senator Linehan's map, we are going to fix that. We're going to make sure that Grand Island can have precincts that they can actually go to instead of having to drive a half hour down a county road in November. That could be snowstorms, et cetera, that would hurt their ability to vote. What we've tried to do in our map was, one, make Alliance whole, and we brought Nebraska City whole. So as long as I'm here, I'm going to be cognitive of the fact we are trying to keep communities together. If you'll recall, the first iteration of my map split Senator Linehan's neighborhood down the middle. We fixed that. And that's part of the feedback today in the process we're going through, because we wouldn't have known about Grand Island but for us having that conversation. And so it's important that for the public who are watching and people who are behind me to understand this is a work in progress. We are starting with base maps. Of course, I like my base map better than Senator Linehan's base map, but there are going to be neighborhood tweaks, to Senator Lowe's point, because we don't live in Sadron. I don't. So Senator Lowe is going to give me feedback, and that community is going to give me feedback of where that boundary should be. The other thing I will say, Senator Lowe, is I hope Senator Hughes feels the same way when he represents Sarpy after we pass my map. That was a joke. Jeez.
I got it.
Well,
Okay.
thank you. I think maybe the people like Kane would like to.
Yeah,
Okay.
You guys are asking me.
Any other questions? I have some.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You keep referring to the historical perspective. Do you think the maps that were drawn in the 30s and 40s and before the 1965 Voters Act are maps that we should look to for guidance?
Yes. I say that understanding that although I was counted in 1900, I was not allowed to vote. And if I was allowed to vote, I could have been beaten for that. I say that because it shows the progress that we are still making. I made a post last night that one of the greatest insignificant political dynamics that'll shape Nebraska are being led by a woman and a Black man. That's significant. But I do understand that many of those districts that were drawn intentionally excluded us. Now, see, the political answer would be for me to tie in critical race theory right now and go down that path. But I won't. because I know exactly why that question was asked, and I think it's a legitimate question. And it's because there are people who are claiming that a plan, Senator Linehan's plan, is diluting minority voices. And it's not. Leave that argument alone. So I get that question, and I actually appreciate that question because it reminded everybody here today about what I just said. Our biggest, most sacred right that we have, voting, and how it turns out is being led by a woman and a Black man in Nebraska. So that's something we should be grateful for. That's something we should pause and think about. It's also something that I don't take lightly, and I think Senator Linehan doesn't take lightly. But yes, we were counted. The numbers are the numbers. And yes, we were excluded. And I don't think any map is doing that intentionally.
Thank you, Senator Wayne. I think we need to check this for the record, and it looks like we're going to be here for a while. We can. I think former Governor Heineman, I don't think he said we couldn't split Douglas County. He just didn't want us to take Saunders County, I think. But we'll check.
Well, if I can disagree with them again, I like that.
Yeah, well, I have no doubt in your lifetime, you'll have plenty of opportunities to disagree with Governor Heineman. Your map does completely eliminate one of the most rural districts of the state, does it not?
Yes.
And both the districts, whether it's your map or Linehan map, are dealing with a term limited 1 year left senator.
Yes.
Can you tell me on your congressional map, why instead of keeping, like the southeast Nebraska whole, you left off my hometown at Crab Orchard and jumped up and grabbed Norfolk?
On CD2,
Mhm.
I mean CD1, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Madison County, I'm sorry, I should.
Actually, it was because Madison County had 35,000 and it was easier to keep that district, that area whole, to do so, to create the 0%.
You're not seriously going to tell me you did it because it was easy.
Yeah, because if I wanted to be political, I would have brought in Celine. And I didn't. I mean, that's.
But you left out Platt.
Yeah, it was strictly numbers. I'm open because to people who are maybe not understanding, at the congressional level, we have to have close as we can to less than 1% deviation, and 0 is ideal. And so when looking at how to keep the county whole, I would still be short almost 1,000 people, and I would have to go through pretty much the way my Colfax County is. I'd have to go over and divide up Columbus to meet that. So
Or you could just go down to the southeast corner and pick up and leave Madison and Platte both in the first district where they are now.
I could, but I thought Nemaha, Johnson, going down to the south, Odo, all those counties, I thought they had more similar with the third being a rural district than so much Lancaster County being second. That was a thought process. Not saying I'm right, but I'm willing to move. But that's the reason we went Madison and not Saline, because I'd have to pick up 1, 2, almost 3 counties. And Gage County messes everything up, having 21. Not Gage County, Thorne is being negative, messes everything up. But
I think Senator Mosher might have an idea or two for you.
okay, well, I'm open to Senator Mosher's ideas.
Are there any other questions from the committee? Thank you, Senator Wayne.
I'm gonna go get some coffee.
Welcome, Senator Mosher. Good morning.
Good morning, Redistricting Committee. My name is Mike Moser. I represent District 22 in the legislature. I live in Columbus and Platte County. And my concerns with the redistricting plan so far center around the movement of Platte County into the 3rd district. Platte County has been in the 3rd district in the bygone days. The last 10 years, we've been in Congressional District 1. And I think that Platte County has more in common with District 1 than District 3. True, agriculture is still the #1 business in Platte County, but we have more manufacturing per capita than any other county in the state. And I think our citizens look to the east for banking, for entertainment, for education, east and south. And so I think that they just align better with the congressional district #1. As far as the movement of districts from western Nebraska to eastern Nebraska, I enjoyed listening to Senator Erdman yesterday. Some days I get the feeling that it's kind of Senator Erdman against the world, but he does come up with some interesting ideas. And I think given the vast area in western Nebraska, that we should do everything we can to utilize the deviation allowable to keep those districts as far west as we can. When you look at one district that might have hundreds of square miles, and then other districts in the more populated parts of the state, they might only have, 5 square miles, 10 square miles. You can just see the difficulty in covering those areas. We don't have the luxury of what the United States has, where they have a Senate that's assigned by geographical area and a House that's done by population. Here, it's all done by population. So we have no Senate to temper what we do as the unicameral. So every problem that comes up, we have a bill on it, and more often than not, we pass it. And we've already got bills from 150 years of some of the smartest people that have ever lived in Nebraska. And every year we're adding another potentially 1,000 bills to that. So I think that Erdman's idea of using the maximum deviation to accommodate more districts in western Nebraska is a great idea. We don't have the Senate to temper what we do as a legislative body, which is what I would say we are. And then just to interject a little political note into this, Platte County is 62% Republican, and District 1, which we are now, is 46% Republican. District 3 is 61% Republican. So moving Platte County into
I don't
District,
think we're supposed to go there, actually.
you don't like the comparisons?
Everybody knows those numbers. I mean, but we're not supposed to, we're not supposed to base the maps on political registration.
I'm not,
Okay.
but I think that's a
Because you're not,
motivation.
right, okay.
It's a motivation for why we got moved to the 3rd district.
Yeah, well.
All right. I'll conclude there. Anybody have
I
any
have-
questions?
I have a couple. Anybody else have questions for?
Can I make a comment,
Sure.
or at least an observation? So I was at the hearing yesterday, listened to Senator Erdman. I've heard people talk about the comment you made today, which is using the deviation to sort of game out the maps to increase rural representation. Here's the challenge with that, or the problem with that. First, that deviation was provided so that we could work around towns to try to keep counties whole. It was not intended as a tool to game out more representation by rural, by urban, by anything else. I suspect that you are subjecting this process to a legal challenge if, for example, you said in western Nebraska we'll use 95% of the population, and in urban areas we'll use 105%, And that way we'll stretch the rural areas and end up with more rural senators. My point is, I think as a strategy for increasing rural representation, you are necessarily involving yourself in something that's not lawful, to the extent that plan is represented in a map where we deliberately use the deviation to increase rural representation and pack people in urban areas. I think that would subject us to a court challenge. When we started this process, we had a debate about what the deviation should be. It was not, we didn't arrive at the deviation 5% by suggesting that we could use it as a tool to affect representation of minorities or rural areas or urban areas, but rather as an allowance to help us as we draw maps, because it's really hard to keep counties in if you don't provide for some deviation. I just want to make that statement. You can respond to it if you want, Mike, but I just want to make that statement because I've heard it yesterday. I've heard it a couple of times already this morning, and that deviation is not a tool to increase or diminish any particular group's representation, but a tool to accommodate people in the map room. I've spent some time there, as have people on this panel. It isn't easy to make these districts without some deviation, keep cities whole, keep counties whole as much as we can. And that's what the deviation is for. And it's not a tool to be employed to affect any one group's ability to increase or diminish another group's representation.
Thank you.
Well, I can see, I agree with your point. We want to make sure this is done legally. But the deviation is an allowance to make exceptions to the absolute numeric equality to accommodate certain things. And I just think that we need to make sure we take advantage of that to accomplish the goals that the original legislative resolution set forth and that the committee has. As far as minorities, my district has 20% Latino population. We have a large minority population, and I don't have any objection to the boundaries of my district. I'm going to represent my district however it winds up. I just think my main reason for being here is to ask that you include Platte County in District 1 rather than District 3.
Thank you, Senator Lathrop. Senator Breese.
I just want to make a comment that I don't think I disagree with anything there that Senator Lathrop said, but I do want to add that we can use the allowable deviation to further the legitimate goals of redistricting, which also includes preserving the cores of existing districts, preserving communities of interest, however we define those.
Thank you, Senator Breese. I have a question.
Sure.
Is it not frequently that Madison and Platte County work together, for instance, on a road plan?
Yes, Madison County and Platte County have a lot of similar goals. Transportation is a big part of them. I'm looking forward to Highway 30 getting done because I think people are going to move from Omaha to Columbus because they'll be able to get there so much faster.
Well, if Dodge Street Expressway is any sign, I would agree with that. So, and one of the reasons to leave you in the first district together is that includes a lot of interaction with our federal officials, right? Congress and Senate.
Yes,
Because-
and we've had really good representation from the first district just because it's not as large as the third. And so we've had a lot of good interaction with our congressional staff and Congressman Fortenberry.
And your senators.
Yes, and our senators too.
Yes, thank
But
you.
they have the whole state to cover, so.
Yes. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Senator Moser, very much for being here.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman Linehan, members of the committee. I'm Julie Slama, Julie Slama, and I represent District 1, which is Otoe, Nemaha, Johnson, Pawnee, and Richardson counties in southeast Nebraska. Otoe County's proposed congressional districts will be the focus of my testimony today. I'm here to testify in favor of LB1, Senator Linehan's congressional map, and in opposition to LB2, Senator Wayne's congressional map, because Senator Linehan's map keeps Otoe County whole, while Senator Wayne's map divides Otoe County between two different congressional districts. I reject the notion that Douglas County is a sacrosanct entity that can't be divided, while rural counties have to pay the price and be divided. Since 1890, Otoe County has never been split between congressional districts. This gives it just as much right as Douglas County to claim that it can't be split because of historical precedent. Unlike Douglas County, in addition to being a county, Otoe County is a distinct community of interest. It is primarily an agricultural community, and it has agricultural interests that are unique from the rest of the state. From the highest number of vineyards and wineries per capita to apple orchards and sawmills, and with similar socioeconomic and educational backgrounds, Otoe County's unique cohesiveness means it should be in one congressional district under the redistricting guidelines we passed earlier this year. This is in stark contrast to Douglas County. Douglas County has a large population with many distinct communities of interest within the county. Past legislatures have recognized this in their maps. In the current Public Service Commission maps, Douglas County is divided, while Otoe and the 5-county area, so Otoe, Nemaha, Johnson, Pawnee, and Richardson County, are not. The same is true for the current State Board of Education maps. These maps were passed without any controversy that I'm aware of. As for which congressional district Otoe County should be in, the 3rd congressional district in this cycle makes the most sense. The 5 counties in southeast Nebraska that I represent have similar unique agricultural interests, as well as a unique emphasis on the energy sector between Nebraska City's coal plant and Cooper Nuclear Station, serving as the main employers for the region. Many people live in one of the 5 counties and work in another. Therefore, I believe all 5 counties should be in the same congressional district. From a practical geographic perspective, the 3rd district is the best way to achieve that goal. If we want to draw a map that keeps communities of interest intact, it makes the most sense to split Douglas County, not cohesive rural counties that make up the whole communities of interest like Otoe County. That is why I'm testifying in support of Senator Linehan's proposed congressional maps and in opposition to Senator Wayne's proposed congressional maps. Thank you all very much for your work on this committee.
Thank you, Senator Slama. Are there questions from the committee?
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Coltrman, are you going to testify? Okay. I was afraid somebody was going to. Good morning.
Good morning, Senator Linehan, members of the Redistricting Committee. My name is Mark Colterman, MarkKolterman. I represent Legislative District 24, which is Seward, Polk, and York counties. Two things you need to understand as I walk through my testimony is I've lived in Legislative District 24 for 70 years, my entire life. So I'm passionate about keeping it. I'm also a registered Republican, because what I'm going to have to say isn't going to be pleasant to some Republicans in the room. I'm here to explain my concerns with LB3 that dissolves LD 24 as it currently sits, and it moves the district to Sarpy County. First of all, I believe moving my district to Sarpy County violates the redistricting guidelines we established as a legislature in May. According to Section 4 of LR 134, district boundaries shall preserve communities of interest and allow for the preservation of the cores of prior districts if possible. Based upon other proposals that have been developed, it is more than possible to preserve the core of Legislative District 24 within its current area with a few tweaks. As one of 12 rural districts within the state that actually grew in population, it would require only the addition of approximately 3,000 population to meet the 5% deviation, and at the same time would retain the compactness of the district, preserve municipal boundaries, the communities of interest, and the core of the prior district. LR 134 also emphasizes using county lines as boundaries when practicable. Under LB 3, which would relocate LD 24 to Sarpy County, Legislative District 34 would absorb Polk and York counties and meets this criteria. Unfortunately, LD 23, which would absorb Seward County, fails the test. LD 23 would consist of the entirety of Butler and Seward counties, the northwestern slice of Saunders County, which is basically cut in half diagonally, and an offshoot of Colfax County, which allows LD 23 to absorb the city of Schuyler and neighboring areas. To me, this proposal of LD 23 is not compact, and the division in Colfax County does not follow clearly recognizable borders. Since the establishment of the Nebraska unicameral, Legislative District 24 has a unique history of producing high-quality leadership, not only for my district, but for the state of Nebraska. In 1940, LD 24 first elected Senator Stanley Matsky, Sr. Senator Matsky was reelected in 42, 64, and 66. During his tenure, he served as chairman of the Education Committee and the Legislative Council. After his first tenure ended in 44, then he went on to be director of the Nebraska Department of Insurance. In 1975, we elected Congressman Doug Bereiter, who was then elected to Congress in 1978, where he served until 2005. 27 years. Harold Seek was then elected to represent the district. He was an outspoken advocate and worked tirelessly for those who suffer from developmental disabilities. Following Senator Seek, Scott Moore was elected. Scott Moore then went on to serve as Secretary of State for the state of Nebraska. And then he was succeeded by Elaine Sturr, who served as Vice Chair of the Natural Resources Committee and chaired the Nebraska Retirement Systems. Committee member Greg Adams followed Senator Sturr, where in his last 2 years, he served as Speaker. So I want to express to you all, and I know you all have hard jobs. There is absolutely nothing easy about what you're doing, and I appreciate the work you're putting into this. But I have some concerns. I'm disappointed in how the process has transpired to this point. I told you earlier I've been a Republican my entire life. This year will be 50 years. But when I took the oath of office to serve, I didn't take it to serve the Republican Party. I was elected by the residents of District 24 to serve the state of Nebraska. I appreciate what Senator Lowe said earlier. When it comes to any issue when I'm contacted in my office by a resident of my district, I don't ask them whether they're a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian, or an Independent, or if they even vote. I listen to the constituents in my district, and I do what I think is best for the residents of my district and the state as a whole. I believe this principle should be the foundation of our redistricting process, to seek what's best for the state and our constituents. Partisanship has no place in this process. And we say that in LR 134 through and through, which we all agreed to on the floor of the legislature. Before the first hearing was held yesterday in Grand Island, I received an email from my party titled Redistricting Meetings. In this email, Executive Director Ryan Hamilton states, Nebraska is a conservative state with conservative values, and our electoral map should reflect that. To me, this statement is in conflict with Section 5 of LR 134 that states, district boundaries shall not be established with the intention of favoring a political party or any other group or person. Now, I know I cannot control Mr. Hamilton and what he publishes, but his full-throated endorsement of one of the legislative proposals to reflect conservative values raises serious concerns that proposal is neither fair or even-handed. As we all know, the Nebraska Legislature, we are the only nonpartisan legislative body in the United States. While redistricting will have some partisan attitudes, I get that. But it's important that we remain true to what makes Nebraska unique. So as such, I urge you to continue working through the rest of this redistricting committee to reevaluate LB3 and LB4. Ensure that these maps are being drawn fairly without any personal animus, without any undue partisan gain to either political party. That's what's required in LR 134. I think that's all I have to say for now. I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Coulterman. Other questions from the committee? Senator Brewer.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm going to use a line from Senator Wayne because I think it's appropriate here. If not your district, what district should we eliminate?
Well, you know what? I think that what's gone on in the past has been fair, as he said. I don't want to see Senator Hughes eliminated. I don't like that map either. I don't like that idea. I don't want to see Dorn and Brandt's districts cut in half. But I think we can get this done, Senator, by just expanding where we're at. I know that there's a couple of other senators that are looking at different proposals to just expand the current districts. At the same time, I do have a bill, LB 12, in place that would add a 50th seat. That could take care of our problems, but it's yet to be told whether or not that's part of the call. I appreciate that. I've asked for an attorney general's opinion, as has the speaker. We should hear that today. But that could be a solution to the problem. But I have no idea what we should. I'm not an advocate of cutting any district whatsoever.
Yesterday, we started with a string of folks that came and it was an attempt to save District 36, which I didn't think was on the chopping block, but I guess it was just a way to seal the deal. And many of the things that they brought to us was that if you break apart District 36, and just so everyone's kind of on the same sheet of music, what that is it's a district that sits essentially in central Nebraska by western Nebraska standards, Lexington, Gothenburg, Cozad, north all the way into Custer County. And one of the plans has Custer County being cut out of that district. And the comments were that it would negatively affect the hospitals, the banks, the schools. And I threw the bullshit card. I said, listen, these communities are going to drive on and they're going to make do with however we shape things. Now, I understand you don't want to change your district. This is what I was telling Senator Williams. But there will be a point this committee doesn't do their job unless we figure out a solution. Again, I think that there were folks that took it too personal in how they perceived that district would change. Now, again, 36 wasn't a plan, so I'm not sure exactly why that was, but what came out of it was that there was a lot of people that just didn't want to see change. And unfortunately, this committee's mission in life is to figure out how to change things to move forward for the state. Now, I think you made a lot of good points here. So, this has to be discussed. But you can see how you get boxed into a corner where it's not my district. You can take any of the rest of them. Don't necessarily like the idea of taking any of the rest of them, but it kind of leaves you in a fix to where there's no answer that's going to make very many people happy, or at least certain people.
Can I respond?
You please.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. I really do. And you're going to get a little of the same that you got yesterday, because I've got 5 or 6 people that are going to testify. They've been asked to keep it short. But I will tell you this. I listened all day yesterday. I'm on the record as saying I don't want to split up rural Nebraska. We need rural representation. That's why I came in with 50 votes. That's why Senator Williams and Senator Stinner signed on to that bill with me. We talked about this. It's important that we have rural representation. I don't question that. But you're looking at a District 24 that's growing. We grew almost as much as the state average. Now, I'm willing to work with this committee. I don't want to lose Polk County, but I'm willing to let that go to the west. But Seward and York have a rich history of working together in businesses, in law enforcement, in healthcare. In the last 2 years, we've had economic developers, we're growing, that have been economic developers of the year from York and Polk counties. And for somebody to tell me that we ought to take the 24th district and move it to Sarpy County because they're similar, they couldn't be farther apart. If you want to start looking at the demographics of Sarpy County and the demographics of Seward, York, and Polk counties, no comparison. And I don't want to get into that. I'm saving that for the floor debate when this all comes out. But the reality is we're miles apart on that issue. I'm willing to compromise, but don't tear my district apart. Don't take my district and send it east, because it's growing. Isn't that our intent, to grow our state?
I understand where you're coming
I'm
from.
passionate about what I'm talking about.
No, and you are, and you should be, and I'm glad that you are. But, that's why when Senator Wayne asked the question yesterday, it kind of froze me in my tracks for a moment. And I go, wow, if he asked me that question, that would be a hard answer, because who would I then say it should be their district? And
My district has 3 higher education facilities in it. 3, York College, Concordia University, and Southeast Community College. How many districts do you know in the state have that many other than in the high metropolitan areas? We take a lot of pride in that. That needs to stay together. That's why I'm advocating for the Wayne map, because at least it leaves Seward and York together.
thank you.
Thanks for the question. I appreciate it.
So you do support the Wayne map?
I support the idea of keeping Seward and York counties together.
Those are not exactly the same statement. So you're clear on the record. I'm not trying to be cute here.
If I have to support a map, it'd be the Wayne map right now.
Okay,
Correct.
okay, all right. Other questions? Okay, we got a lot of people here, guys, so, okay. Let's keep it kind of.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Senator Colterman, for being here. I appreciate you standing up for your district. I appreciate Senator Dorn standing up for his district, and Senator Williams yesterday standing up for their districts. And I believe that's your job to do so. And you're doing a great job of doing that. Kearney, I have not moved out of Kearney. We have been in several districts. Kearney has done this, has been a great community. But we have moved districts several times. What is the difference between Kearney and Seward and York?
They're not trying to take your district away.
But they have in the past.
I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to talk about what we're doing right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lowe. Are there any other questions from committee? Thank you, Senator Colterman.
Thank you.
I think that's it for senators. Am I right?
Hey, can I make a suggestion? Can you see how many of these people want to testify? I have a noon confirmation hearing.
How many
And I'd
people?
just like to know if we're going to get through before noon.
I have my
If we
doubts.
don't, then I don't know.
How
if
many
you wanna
people,
take a-
and this is not to discourage at all. We want to hear from all of you, but we're just trying to figure out if we're going to plan a lunch break, which I think we are. So how many are here to testify? Okay, we're going to have a lunch break.
Lunch it is.
This is a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing, and we do welcome you. And so what should we do here? 11:45 to 1:15? Is that too much time? 11:45 to 1?
I have a noon confirmation hearing, so whatever you want to do.
That sounds good, Chair.
Half hour.
11:45 to, and then we'll reconvene at 1:15. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Vance, Mikevance.
Yeah, you're going to have to speak a little louder.
Sorry, I
That's
have a
okay.
very monotone voice. My name is Mike Vance, Mikevance. I'm the sheriff of Seward County. My counterpart, Sheriff Verbka from York County, is also here with me in support of Senator Coulterman. Senator Coulterman is a very accessible senator for our district. I have his cell phone. He's available for both York and Seward County. The reason I support what Senator Coulterman is proposing with Seward and York County staying together in the district is there's many reasons. Centennial School is located on the west end of Seward County. Approximately half of the children that go to the Centennial School, it's a K through 12 school, reside in York County. There's also a school in eastern part of York County in Waco. York County Sheriff's Department and Seward County Sheriff's Department have conducted many trainings, active shooter trainings, where we work together and respond to both schools in case of an active shooting incident. We have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to a radio system where we can communicate with each other. The first active shooter training we had in York County or in Centennial, we were not able to communicate by radio with agencies. So we have spent the money to work together and be able to communicate. We're also part of a Department of Homeland Security federal task force that York and Seward County are both members of from its inception. Our educational system, because of the York County and Seward County going to the same school in Centennial, is just one of the main ties that we have together. Our 911 system, we have created a system where if our 911 center goes down because of tornado or whatever, the York County system will automatically pick up where they can dispatch emergency services and vice versa if York counties go down. We spend a lot of time and money to do this where we can help each other. And I see the red light came on.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the committee? Senator Brewer.
Okay, I'm sure I'm about to get a note saying I can't ask you more questions, but I gotta throw this out here since, my brother's a sheriff and I spent the weekend talking to him about emergency services in the West, communications between the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the tribal police, adjoining counties, Scottsbluff to Alliance, Ainsworth across the north. And the MOUs and the things they have in place, I don't see them changing if the number for that district changes. And if we draw some of these lines like we are, we will eliminate Chadron, but yet, we share jail responsibilities with Chadron. If we change the county in the map, we'll say the version that Senator Linehan has, how will that change how you do operations or communicate internally within law enforcement?
I'm not sure that it would change. My main concern is that we work so closely together. And as you said, with the MOUs, we would still have the MOUs in place. We enjoy working with Senator Coulterman. Both counties do, because he's so accessible. And if we need something, we call Senator Coulterman, and he's been willing to meet with us many times on short notice.
And that's commendable, and that's the way it should be. But I guess the warning shot that I would give you, the same as I did yesterday, was Senator Williams won't be there in a little over a year. Senator Coleman won't be there. You know, the trick is elect someone who is from the community, who loves the community and the people, and will do whatever needs to be done. Because we change as senators. I mean, we could go get smucked by a car tomorrow and be gone. Someone's going to have to represent that district, and they need to have their heart in it. And you're blessed to have someone who does. But when it becomes ownership to where you won't look at other options because that person is that person, we kind of miss, the forest for the trees, because that's where we need to be is good representation through the right process, and it be about the district and the needs rather than one individual.
Right. I agree with you there. The senators are going to change. Just with the way York and Seward County work together in many fields, not just law enforcement, all their services and communications it's like it's one county.
Understand.
Instead of two separate counties.
All right, good point. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Brewer. Other questions from the committee? Senator Blood.
I have a very brief question. So I heard something different. And I want to make sure that this is what I heard.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I heard you correctly, what I heard is that in that part of the state, you have created a type of unofficial political subdivision where you work in tandem, and the importance of keeping not just Senator Coulterman, but a senator that represents that entire area is important to you, because you have one person that you're beholden to within that unofficial political subdivision. Does that sound accurate? That you've put together a community of multiple counties so you can utilize your resources in the best way possible. Senator Coulterman has been a good figurehead for you, but if the borders were to change, then you would have to answer one or two senators possibly. And that would make it more difficult to continue the strong economic growth that you've had, only because what you have now is working. That's what I'm hearing. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth,
No,
but I mean, that's what
understand.
I heard.
If I understand you correctly, that is correct. Because Senator Coulterman has worked with both of those counties on economic growth and everything else, it's not really a political thing. It's just that he's been there for both of those communities to bring them together so we can grow, which we have grown.
Right, absolutely. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Blood. Are there other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you all.
I think he got up first.
Please.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Thank you. Good morning, senators.
Okay, I'm welcome. I'm just gonna lay out a kind of ground rule that I think would help people so we don't have to jump. Henceforth, if you're going to testify, get up close and sit in one of those two chairs, where the gentleman in the green shirt is, and the gentleman in the blue shirt, and then the red tie, so we can just kind of work in from the edges.
Thank you. I'm going to continue on the York and Seward theme. I'm Lisa Hurley, LISAHURLEY. I serve as an executive director for York County Development Corporation. And my partner in crime, Jonathan Jank Seward is in the room as well, and we've talked about this. The Senator Coulterman and other representations from both counties have asked me to go on record opposing any maps that would split up York and Seward counties. To be honest, I hate to see Polk County go, but I do know change is often a very good thing. And I do think it's vital to keep Seward and York together. Under the two presented plans, legislative 24 is going to be changing. We know that. It's reality. The entire state's going to be changing. It is not my intention to support one or other of the current plans. I know the final one will probably look different. Or at least there's a chance of that. But I want to champion keeping York and Seward counties together in the same legislative district. And by doing so, that would help maintain our successful ongoing partnerships that are within our district for the next 10 years. I am going to deviate a little bit from my script based on our sheriff's presentation. It's not purely Senator Coulterman. We have a long history. You know, both Jonathan work with Senator Coulterman when we have economic development projects, when we have talent projects, when we have housing projects, anything that relates to growth. But we also worked with Senator Adams. So it's our bankers work together, our hospitals work together, our school districts. You know, Centennial comes, I believe, within 4 miles of the city of York. So, I mean, it's like and like. We are both growing our counties, and we're going to continue to grow. I have absolutely no doubt. We both have the housing plans and the transportation plans and the strategic development plans in place. York and Seward County, in 10 years, we're going to be a higher population than we are this year. And I know we are looking at this year, but we are going to continue to grow. And it'd be a shame to divide it up where instead of us working with one senator who's seeing our common vision, we're working with multiple. That's my personal opinion on that. I'm not going to harp on all the shared relationships because there's other people here and I want to keep it short. I do want to say that an important driving factor behind our growth over the last 10 years is because of the economic development factors.
Thank you. Thank you. You're
Am I
on
done?
mic. Well, your lights.
Oh, okay.
So yes, you are done.
Okay.
Because we got to be fair. No, there's probably questions. Are there questions from the committee? I have one because what Senator Coulterman and you both said. So are you saying that your legislative district 24 has never been touched by redistricting before?
I don't know if I'm in my 40s, so I don't know
Well,
all the history.
So it wasn't touched last time.
It wasn't touched the last couple times that I'm aware of.
So it's remained out there without any scraps or scrapes from redistricting. It'd be nice, could you figure out or we can figure that out here, right? How long 24 has been there without any adjustments? Thank you very
All I
much.
can say for sure is we have a lot of partnerships in place, and it's been very valuable being in the same district.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next.
Welcome to your redistricting committee.
Good morning, Vice Chair Wayne and members of the Redistricting Committee. My name is Dawson Brunswick, Dawson Brunswick, and I serve as the president of the Columbus Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here this morning, I believe it's still, on behalf of the organization. It's 770 members. A lot of what I'm going to say, Senator Mosher touched on, but I want to go a little bit more
Can you
into.
state and spell your name for the record, or did I miss that? Can you spell your name?
Yep, Dawson Brunswick.
Thank you.
Our legislative committee met and unanimously voiced their support of LB1 and opposition of LB2 based on the sole fact of the placement of Platte County. The Chamber's committee was in support of remaining in Congressman Fortenberry's first congressional district. As Senator Mosher mentioned, two of those main reasons are our manufacturing economy and our alignment with the existing district. So Platte County and Columbus has over 741 people employed by manufacturing directly and another 4,528 indirectly. That equates out to $2.9 billion in annual economic output just in manufacturing. And when you include the associate industries, totals out to $3.6 billion. We're proud that global companies such as BD, Vishay, Cargill, and ADM all continue to choose to invest in Columbus, and that Baylor Manufacturing and Duo-Lift and others continue to call Columbus home. The reason I bring that up is because, as we all know, manufacturing is our second largest industry in the state, and it's very important to us. And over the last decade, Columbus and Platte County has built a strong working relationship with Congressman Fortenberry, his staff, and we believe that's partially because of our crucial role in manufacturing here in the state. Congressional District 1 is home to many large manufacturers outside of Columbus, Nucor and Norfolk, Lincoln Premium Poultry in Fremont, Schooler and Seward that we've heard from the Seward folks today, Lincoln Industries and Kawasaki here in Lincoln. And there's just a lot of manufacturing that takes place in Congressional District 1. And that's why the Chamber's Legislative Committee truly felt that we should remain in Congressional District 1. The other part is our tie-in with the communities. As was mentioned earlier, we have strong partnerships with Fremont, strong partnerships with Norfolk, and truly just believe that we fit in well with that Congressional District 1. During the current recess, Congressman Fortenberry has visited Columbus several times, visiting businesses and manufacturers, attending community events, and with me being new to my role, he has even stopped by and met with me, just showing that he's truly invested in Columbus and Congressional District 1. And with that, I'm truly grateful for your guys' time today. You guys have a thankless job, so thank you for choosing to serve in this capacity. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the committee? Just so I'm understanding you correctly, in my map, I take you out and put Platte County in CD3. You want to remain in CD1?
Correct.
So if we move Colfax to CD3, you're still a no? Because you brought up that area.
So I know our stance was that Columbus and Platte County remain in CD1.
Okay. No problem. I'm just clarifying because these are all up for.
Nope, I completely understand. Right. And that's where it was nothing aside from that we wanted to stay in CD1. As I mentioned earlier, Senator Slama felt that her area was better suited in 3. And I know that's kind of two of the main areas that move on the maps.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to your redistricting committee. Please state your name and spell your name for the record, just so we may have it correct.
My name is Alan Meyer, AlanMuyer.
Thank you.
I live in Saunders County, so I'm here largely just in opposition of LB1 because Saunders County has very little in common with South Omaha or Omaha in general. Yes, Wahoo is a bedroom community for Omaha, but that doesn't mean it's the same. We have a lot more in common with LD1, which has more rural counties. Just to kind of slap Saunders County in there it seems for the purpose of splitting up Dodge County, just seems counterintuitive to me. I think you would find it very difficult to find very many people in Saunders County that would want it to be moved in with Omaha and Sarpy County. That's largely what I have to say, but I do have a side note. My wife happens to be a director on one of the NRDs, and that is not divided up by county. It's divided up by watersheds, and she finds it very difficult to tell somebody if they are a constituent. If you split up counties like you do in some of these legislative maps, I'm in support of neither one of them or in opposition of neither one, but I just want to emphasize that it makes it very difficult for her, since she doesn't have the county boundaries, to identify if somebody's in her district, if she represents somebody. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions?
Any questions from the committee? Thank you for your testimony
Okay,
today.
thank you.
We've been kind of going on the right side, so let's shift a little bit to the left, and then we'll kind of, from here on out, if we can interchange one person from the left, one person from the right, so we can, and I don't mean political sides either.
Stage left. I was making sure I know that you're
Welcome to your redistricting committee.
Good morning, Senator Linehan, members of the Redistricting Committee. My name is Al Davis, ALDAVIS, and I am here today as a chair of Nonpartisan Nebraska, which is a nonprofit organization formed last year by a diverse group of individuals who are strong believers in the vision of Senator George Norris and the Nebraska legislative model. You have a challenging job ahead of you, which I don't envy you for, and I know it's going to be a lot of work. There was a tremendous shift in population during the past 10 years. And that will dramatically alter the maps of legislative and congressional districts. Unfortunately, rural parts of the state continue to lose population. That's the bad news, but the good news is that urban areas did grow and there's strong and sustainable growth. Only a few of you will be here 8 years. Well, none of you probably will be here 8 years from now unless someone's reelected. So all of you will be gone, and the actions you take here in constructing a fair and equitable legislative body will live on. Partisanship in the redistricting process can cause long-lasting damage to the legislature, which will linger through the following 10 years. And Nebraskans are disgusted and offended by negatively partisan political maneuvers. Many of you may still hear about the 2010 election from fellow senators. So what should guide your work? First, each legislative district should have about the same number of residents without considering other factors. Over the next 10 years, each of the legislative districts you construct will continue to evolve, and we can expect that the trend lines of the past century will continue, which means declining numbers in rural Nebraska. Your goal must be to construct balanced districts based on the 2020 census without overloading urban districts and underfilling rural ones simply to preserve a district. I realize this is a painful decision to make, but it is the ethical and correct thing to do. Doing anything else will disenfranchise large numbers of people, and that doesn't fit well with Americans' belief that all voters should be treated equally. In addition, underfilling and overfilling without considering the trend lines will result in significant distortions in just a year or two as people move, die, or people are born. Secondly, I believe it's important to establish boundaries which are easily understood by the voters and follow natural division points like county lines and state highways. Trade areas in rural parts of Nebraska are key division points, or the boundaries of NRDs, which are molded on drainage patterns in the state. Carve-outs should be avoided at all costs because they isolate a community and are offensive to residents. I can speak to that personally, as Alliance was split off from Bixby County in 2010, and I heard more complaints about the perceived unfairness of that from Alliance residents than I did about almost every other issue. The voters won't forget what you did. Lastly, remember the integrity of the work. The key is ensuring that every voter is represented equally. This is not a place for grandstanding, power politics, or arm wrestling. I've always felt the best legislation was bills in which no one got exactly what they wanted, but all got something which benefited their constituents. That's your duty. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Rutledge, Kathleen Rutledge, and I'm a longtime resident of Seward County, though I certainly have Lincoln ties. And I'm here, I'm part of the Seward York contingent. I'll hope not to have Senator Brewer think I'm throwing the bullshit card here. I want to speak just as a regular constituent. I don't represent any organizations. I'm just a person living in the district. And I just ask you to think about what things would look like if our district stretched from Seward and York sort of up and around all the way to Colon and Cedar Bluffs. This is kind of a provincial example, but I go to church in Seward. We've had people come from York, we've had people come from Benedict, other areas. The lines tend to go east and west. We've never had anybody at my church from Cedar Bluffs or Colon. So that's kind of a silly example of just the idea of helping to form districts where people feel a connection with their representative. And I do like Senator Coulterman, even though I disagree with him on a lot of things. Thank you. Oh,
I have a question.
oh, question, sorry.
I just want to make sure I understand this right. Because I should have asked this earlier. You want to make sure that Seward and Polk County just stay in the same district.
Seward and York.
Seward and York.
Seward and York.
Sorry, stay in the same district and maybe not include Gretna. But your goal is to keep York and Seward in the same district.
That is correct. I also like keeping Douglas County whole.
I appreciate that. But my next question is, and this is important, because you said you're not representing a group, you're just.
Nope.
Does the number matter? Does the Senate number matter? So if you're represented by somebody else who also had Seward and Seward and York in their area, I support Seward and York in their area, as long as that's intact, that's your main concern.
For the most part, yes. That's why I'm here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wayne. Senator Brewer.
I'm using one of my chits and I don't have any left hardly, so I just wanted to apologize that language, there's sometimes too much old soldier in me and I don't clean it up like I should, so forgive me.
You don't need to apologize to me. And I do have Cherry County roots, so.
Good.
Oh, wait.
Oh, sorry.
You're so different than me. Any other questions? I have one,
Yes,
because I asked this before, but they said they were only 40, and I'm thinking you and I might.
I'm older
Yeah.
than 40.
Yeah.
Yes.
So has Seward and York been together for how long?
I'm sorry, I do not know.
You haven't
I
lived
used
there.
to
You
live
haven't
in
lived there.
Lincoln.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
That was the chairs.
I know.
We know, it's the
I
chair.
should know better after like 11 years, not to plop myself down in the chair.
I've done it before, so I
Yeah.
Good morning.
I just wanted to be clear before you start scooting away or putting a mask
Okay, good morning.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Hartley, CYNTHIA HARTLEY. And good morning to everyone in front and behind me. I support Senator Wayne's map in redistricting. Please do not split Douglas County or lump rural counties into Omaha. Also, you must add or subtract districts where the numbers are. The citizens of Nebraska have an absolute right to representation based on population, not based on increasing or decreasing senators of either particular party. That's my statement today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much for being here. Good morning.
Good morning, senators, distinguished members of the redistricting committee. My name is Brad Best, BRADBEST, and I'm the current superintendent of Heartland Community Schools in Henderson, Bradshaw area in York County. I'm here representing all of the school districts in York and Seward County. As you'll see by the handout, the names listed there, in addition to ESU 6, Educational Service Unit 6 out of Milford. We're submitting this joint letter on behalf of the schools of York and Seward County and the ESU 6 headquartered in Seward County as well. Legislative District 24, as we've mentioned, Seward, York, and Polk counties. We as a group are advocating for the retention of District 24 boundaries as currently defined and wish to point out the relative stability of the population base of District 24, which showed a modest increase in population of 1,127 residents from the 2010-20 census. It's not an outlier in any respect, and it's not one of the highest population unicameral districts, nor it is one of the lowest population legislative unicameral districts. This is all based on data and reporting from the UNO Center of Public Affairs Research. We further note that the relative homogeneity of the size and population of the school districts within District 24, as well as the historic and demographic stability of the 24th district, and that District 24 has a longstanding historical precedent in providing excellent representations for the citizens of Seward, York, and Polk counties. And we as a group believe that the configuration as it exists best serves the interest of public school districts in this area. I would just reemphasize the homogeneity of those districts in that whether or not it is intentional, there is an urban versus rural tone to some of the debate, especially when it comes to things with schools and school funding. And so that likeness, I think, is a very important piece where one representative is able to represent the rural perspective. And so that's one of the other reasons that we are here in support of leaving those whole.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee? So Seward, unless I'm confused, maybe Seward, York, and Polk aren't enough to make up a district, right? They're 36,000, am I wrong on this? 36,948.
Correct.
So it may have grown, but it's below the deviation. So we have to change some lines.
And as preferenced earlier, I would strongly lean towards, again, leaving Seward and York counties together for sure, as the majority of our school districts are within District 24 reside in those two counties.
So
rather than go east.
And then rather than go east?
Yes.
Okay. And then I think, I'm not quite so sure, but in those two counties, you've got York. Do you have any schools that get significant state aid? Highly equalized schools.
Highly equalized?
Equalized.
No, not that I'm aware of. We do have quite a bit of movement within optioning funding.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a different kind
Yeah.
of school funding. But as far as equalization aid, you're not.
There's-
Are there any, this is the easier way. Are any of your schools in GNSA? Greater Nebraska Schools Association?
In York County, I don't believe, so, or Seward County, I don't believe
They're
so.
mostly in Stance or NERCSA, right?
Pardon me?
Stance or NERCSA
Correct.
school, yes. And you're NERCSA,
NERCSA
Stance?
school,
You're NERCSA,
yeah.
okay. Other questions from the committee? Yes, Senator Wayne.
So in a hypothetical, so Seward, York stays together. Is Hamilton more like Seward and York versus Lancaster County?
Aside from Hastings, I think that would be probably a different discussion again. I know that my particular school district of Heartland resides right on the border of Hamilton County and a different legislative district. But we have a longstanding relationship with ESU 6 out of Milford and those school districts. Many of the school districts, not only do we meet and discuss and work together, but we also, a lot of them are in the same conference as well. And so we have very tight connections there.
No, I'm not hedging one way or another.
Right.
I just want to get a feel because I don't live in the area. I'd rather not put out a
Right.
map and you come back and say you hate it.
Aside from York, there really isn't a large city per se that would compare to Hastings, for example, in Hamilton County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wayne. Are there any school districts in Butler or Saunders County that are in the ESU?
Yes. David City, I believe, would be one.
Okay. All right, thank you. Other questions? Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Jane Kinsey, Kinsey, with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government. I am supportive, and my group is of Senator Linehan's proposal for redistricting. There are people in this state who would like to turn it into a West Coast state with all of its liberal attitudes. This is a safe, beautiful place to live. I feel very safe. I think many people feel very safe here. Thank you for that. We need to keep it that way. The basic values of this country need to be protected, and I'm very concerned about the future of the country, the state, our cities, and our rural areas. Please keep this in mind as you vote and give the basic values the support that they need. This is what our country is founded on, and we should not destroy it. There are people who would like to do that, and I'm very concerned about it.
Thank you very much for being here. Senator Blood has a question, I think.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairwoman Linehan. And I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. What was your name again?
Jane Kinsey.
Jane Kinsey.
Kinsey.
Thank you, Jane. Hey, Jane, I just need clarification, and I appreciate all of your concerns that you expressed, and the world has definitely changed. I'm 60. It's not the same Nebraska I grew up in. But with that said, what I don't understand is exactly what you like or do not like about the maps. Can you be more specific? You did say that you liked one or the other, but I'm not sure geographically or the way the map is written, why you like one over the other. Can you be more specific for me, please?
Well, I believe that the number one is going to be important for a fight over these values. And I support.
Can you express
what looks
why? I hear you talk, and I don't mean to interrupt, but you've already expressed that to me.
Yeah, okay.
That you're concerned about values, your values in particular. I hear that, but I don't hear how that map represents better than the other map, or the other map is going to prevent this from happening. Can you say, for instance, this district being moved here, or this congressional line being moved here? Can you just give me a specific? I just want to make sure I understand what you're telling me today.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. This is the way it's drawn out. What is it that you're interested in?
How is the way that it's drawn out protect your values?
Well, I believe it's going to be an area in which there will be a test of this based on the voting.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm still confused, but I appreciate you trying to answer that.
Okay. It's a highly educated, interested group of people in Nebraska. And I think that they will be leaders in the voting, and that's why I support it.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee? Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your input. We do.
Sorry if I didn't answer your question.
No, no worries.
Don't forget your bag, ma'am. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman Linehan and members of the committee. My name is Kendall Bartling, Kendall Bartling. I'm speaking today on LB1 in opposition. I just wanted to kind of go into that. So I am a deputy registrar in the county of Hall here in Nebraska. Clarification on that position, and I'm not representing that in any way. We register voters, and it's deputy registrars are the people who are empowered to register voters in the state of Nebraska. And one of the things that I've really prided myself on is I focused on the youth in my community of Hall County. And I've been able to engage them in our community in conversations and get them engaged in voting. And a big portion of that is being able to connect with your peers and being able to see that, yes, we're voting together in this election and we're voting together on this specific issue or this specific race or district to vote for this one thing. And the issue that I have with LB1 is youth in Omaha may not be able to say that they're voting for the same congressperson, or they might not be able to say that their vote for president is counting towards the same congressional district. And that's something that has the potential to disengage voters and has the potential to confuse a subset of voters that might not completely understand the process and feel that the person across the street's vote might have more power than my vote. And the district, as it's drawn in LB1, does divide that community. And I just have extreme concerns with how that might impact youth engagement and how, a set of voters that is just getting started might not understand how that difference and how across that street, that's just a congressional district line. That's really my main concern. And I'd be happy to field any questions that you may have for me.
Thank you very much. Other questions from the committee? Did you say you're from Hall County?
That's correct. I'm a UNL student at present, but I'm a resident of Hall County.
So do you have those same concerns about Sarpy County?
I'm sorry, so the concerns about Sarpy County, you said?
Mhm.
I guess there would be concerns about that as well. Looking across this, it's pretty much wherever that's present. But I would argue, I would say that it's a bigger issue in Douglas with that specific community of youth voters. Just because, and I haven't had the time or the ability to look at the specific map that shows the road line, and that hasn't been defined yet. I don't think at the very specific level, it said that the committee will release more detailed maps as that goes on. There's the potential for that to happen in Sarpy County, but at present, I think the divide is more drastic in LB1 with North and South Omaha.
Okay, all right.
Actually, that was my question. I had the same question. So.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Senator Wayne?
Did you say Bartlett or Bartling? I was trying to work in a West.
No, it's all good. It's Bartling.
I was trying to work in a
Bartling.
West Wing joke. No,
Yeah. Wish I was Jed Bartlett. Can't all have what we want, so.
No, you don't. You want to be young. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Good morning.
Good morning, Senator Linehan and senators on the committee. My name is Chuck Chevalier, and that is C-H-U-C-K, and then last name C-H-E-V-A-L-I-E-R. And I live in Springfield, Nebraska, which is kind of right in the middle of some of the discussion points that in both the congressional redistricting, and the legislative redistricting. I do thank you for your work on redistricting, but I want to provide a couple of perspectives on the maps. First, I support Douglas and Sarpy County's map for Congressional District 2 and LB2. From my perspective, Western Sarpy County and Eastern Douglas and Sarpy counties are currently not communities of similar interest. As someone who lives in Springfield and worked until recently on North 30th Street, daily life, opportunities, and economic differences unfortunately create different community needs, interests, and outlooks. Urban is different from suburban, is different from rural. Most of the land around Springfield is agricultural, but developing by technology center, business, and housing additions. My area is agriculture, quickly turning to suburban. The 3-mile drive to my local Platteview High School is all corn and bean fields. By the way, the corn's doing well. However, Facebook, Google, Amazon, and other businesses have put billions of dollars less than 6 miles from my house. The urban environment in Eastern Douglas and Sarpy counties is just different. Eastern Douglas and Sarpy counties have such a different setting than Springfield. It is important to me that you preserve the voters of East Douglas and East Sarpy counties in one congressional district. Their voice needs to be strongly represented in Congress. Second, I support legislative map for the Omaha area and LB4, especially for my community. Everyone agrees that at least one additional legislative district should be moved or added to the Douglas-Sarpy counties area. I agree. I don't have any data to know where that should come from, but LB4 makes better sense than adding Saunders County to West Sarpy County. Again, my reasoning is about communities of interest. As areas of interest, West Douglas and West Sarpy are both agricultural, turning to suburban. In 10 years, Saunders County may be fully in that changeover, but it is premature now. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, and I appreciate your attentiveness.
Thank you. Are there questions from the committee? So you're from Sarpy County,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're for splitting Sarpy County, and you're for the new district being partially in Douglas County.
I prefer the map 4 on the legislative districts and map 2 on LB2 for congressional districts.
Okay, why on the legislative district?
Well, there has to be a new, I feel like there has to be a new legislative district in Sarpy County. I agree with that. So to me, if
That's
you.
map 3. I just want to make sure we're not confused.
West Sarpy County, I thought was map 4 in LB4. West Sarpy connected to West Douglas. So you had Waterloo in map 4 connected to West Sarpy, which would include Springfield.
I think there's just some confusion. It's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. It's hard. The maps in the paper are hard to look.
I definitely agree that the communities of interest in that Waterloo, that's an area agriculture turning to suburban at some point, very similar to Springfield and
But you
West
can't
Sarpy
get
County.
there and keep them contiguous. You got to keep the districts contiguous.
Right.
So, but I agree. I live in Western Douglas
Yeah.
County. I know exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
but they've got to be.
We're very
contiguous.
similar. If you kind of ramp up through Gretna, I thought that's what one of the maps did.
There's too many people.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
I
thank
read
you
the
very.
wrong map.
Yeah, no, I know, it's hard. It's very hard. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, good late morning.
Good morning.
At the end of my time, I'm going to tell you how long York and Seward have been together. My name is Margaret Brink, Margaret, last name Brink, Brink, and I live in York, Nebraska. First of all, thank you for accepting the challenge in the work of shifting and shaping the new legislative map. Mind-boggling. But my concern is District 24. The composition of the 24th district has been very productive in community health care, as demonstrated by the work of the Four Corners Health Department. For over 21 years, Four Corners Health Department has benefited from the appointed leadership of Butler, Polk, Seward, and York counties. These 4 counties are represented on the governing board of health for the health district. But the 2 counties that we're discussing today in the 24th Legislative District are York County and Seward County. Seward has been a strong leader in the rural and public health community and will remain so. Keeping Seward County in the 24th Legislative District continues to give that rural voice to health issues. York and Seward have been good partners in rural health. Both have critical access hospital status. And if Seward is moved to a more urban district, the move may complement the rural designation of the Seward Hospital and healthcare centers. Designated as rural may need further justification from Seward County. The counties in the 24th district are cooperating in many ways that are indicative of that rural community living. The culture and focus of rural are evident in the public health work because of the similarities of needs. We have population challenges across our state. Nebraska is still a rural state and even a little frontier. We must recognize our differences, but foster and protect our similarities. York and Seward are very similar, small city entities with economic development challenges, typical of rural communities. They both have critical access hospitals, small private colleges, and a community college. York and Seward collaborate on many levels of healthcare. In virtually moving Seward County into what we refer to as an urban district, we keep shifting the population numbers to the east. It is vital that we continue the relationship we have established to meet the needs of the community. We move a rural voice into an urban voice if we move Seward County. Both are important, both voices are important, but they do have their own challenges. So I would ask that you please reconsider the plans to change the 24th Legislative District. I would prefer that it is kept as it stands today, and that voice for continuing the work of the health system.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there questions in the committee?
We've lived in York County. Well, we've been married 50 years, and we both came as teachers before that. So we've lived in York County, and all that time, I'm sure that it was always Seward and York in the same 24th district. And if it's true that it was established in 1944, then I was only 2 years off being born.
Thank you very much. So questions from the committee? You don't want to go into an urban area, is that what you said?
Correct. We would like to have Seward stay, and the comparison then is with York County. We like York County except for football.
And the community college is in York or Seward?
Well, it's based in Milford in Seward County, but we have a satellite office in York.
Yes, Senator Wayne.
So we have to grow somewhere. The only where to the right on the map is Lancaster and to the left is Hamilton. What do you think is more same community of interest?
For many years, we have been looking at Aurora as maybe a comparison when we developed as a city, and not so much to Seward, because Seward was probably closer to Lincoln. And I don't know whether it was just because that city administrator didn't like, so that probably would eventually be okay. But the problem with moving Seward into Lancaster County, and from a public health perspective, then that public health department adds another senator onto all of their responsibilities. Now, they'd get some really good help because our board members from Seward are very good.
Right.
But it still would be, it just fits better.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for being here. and
You're
for
welcome.
explaining that.
I hope you've all been vaccinated and wear masks.
We've all been vaccinated. Are we? Elle just drove that train. Yes, I think we all been vaccinated.
If we
Schedule me for next week to do another one.
Good.
I know, we should
That's a big
focus
district.
on
You
lunch.
gotta do healthy.
We have a hearing.
Pass it down.
Hello. Okay, we're getting a little punchy here.
Judy King and
I'm sorry.
Judy King,
Thank you. And you need to spell it.
King, Judy, Judy.
Thank you, Judy.
I'm, I think I want to go with Senator Wayne's maps this time. And partly because of all the things that have been going on with the Republican Party. And I'm sure you're not going to be a part of what I'm going to say here, but I'm going to say it about the Republican Party. I always start out with saying Trump lost the presidential election and Biden is our president. Apparently, and see.
Okay, we're not supposed to have any reactions in the audience. I'm sorry.
Of
course, we're not supposed to be a partisan discussion either, but go ahead.
Right. I'm just telling you, as the Senator Mosher did, how come I feel this way?
Okay.
Anyway, Biden's our new president. Apparently, there's still an argument about this with the two rumpers. Right now, we are barricading up DC Capitol again for the protection against T-rumpers, Proud Boys, white supremacists, wannabe insurrectionists, and the QAnon gang. And last but not least, the no maskers. One from Lincoln that went around coughing on people in the stores, on a small children and a mother, and the child was unable to get vaccinated. All these T-rumpers have been showing up at city council meetings, school board meetings, and legislative hearings, threatening everyone. I know because I've been there. Just wondering if we should put barricades up for these lovely people at this Capitol on September 18th. First on the agenda for the Nebraska Republicans were the gun laws, because there will be supposedly there's supposed to be a civil war soon. And they should have all the guns with no restrictions. And then they take away women's rights with no consequences for men on the abortion issue because they want to be like Texas. Then voter suppression laws because Dems might win a race and because we want to be like Texas. Where did I hear this sentence? Republicans would never be elected again if it was easier to vote. This is why I'm against. Well, I am for Senator Wayne's. He has a D on his name, and I trust him to do the right thing. And Senator Linehan, I know how smart you are. And I just don't like the people that have been helping you with the maps. So I'm sorry.
She doesn't mean that, Grant.
Well, except the other one.
She didn't even know you. But thank you very much for being here. Are there questions?
No, doubt it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Or did you have?
No, Madam Chair, I was gonna offer a suggestion. Maybe we break at 11:30 and come back a little earlier instead of 11:45.
Why don't we just work straight through?
We have a hearing.
Judiciary
They have a
Committee
hearing.
that includes three of us as a parole board confirmation.
I do appreciate
Okay,
all the work.
11:45, never mind. I withdraw my suggestion.
I know, it's getting.
I do appreciate your work, and I
Thank
know
you.
how hard this map is, so I do appreciate it.
What do you think about the business and labor hearing this afternoon?
I'm not on that committee.
Good almost morning, still morning.
It's still morning. I was checking.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chairman and committee members. I was looking into these maps, I have to tell you, I had a great deal of appreciation for the work that you're doing and how difficult it is to do this. And I really want to say thank you. And then I want to offer some of my thoughts.
Can you state your name and spell it?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Sandra Black, Sandra Black, BLACK.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. My primary concern here today is that we are following the traditions of our country, one vote, one person. And redistricting means that we try to every 10 years get it back into sync. Now, when I do the math,
looks to me like really there should be 2 new districts in either Lincoln or Lancaster County or Douglas County, Sarpy County. I don't see either of the maps where that happens. It looks like you've added 1 district, and I could be wrong, because like I said, I did some really looking. So, and I also looked at LR 134 and the guidelines there, keeping county lines as the boundaries for the districts, keeping communities together, keeping groupings together as much as possible, recognizing that you can't always do that. And also going for the 0 deviation where possible. Those should be the goals of what you're doing here today. So when I looked at things, the first thing I looked at is where we're cutting counties in half. I don't think we need to cut Douglas County in half. I really don't. And for that reason, I tend to support LB2 over LB1. When you go into legislative districts, we have similar issues. LB3 actually divides something like 14 counties in half, or 16 counties in half. LB4 divides 8. Currently 7 are divided. I am concerned about that and the keeping things together. If I had to choose between LB4 or LB3, today I would lean towards LB4. However, I would like to ask that this committee look again at what has happened with Lancaster County. I'm sure a lot of this has been changing back and forth. I currently I live in Lancaster County. I reside in District 30. With your redistricting, I would be moved to LD 32, which is a much more rural area than when I live. I live between Hickman and Lincoln in an area where we have continued development. Oops, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Development.
That's okay.
I'm looking at people, not lines. Anyway, please look at that. Concern about keeping the city of Lincoln intact. That's one area on your map, and I can talk to you later. South Point is not a rural area and should not be hooked into. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions from the committee?
I'll just make a statement. Just send me a note and I'll look into that. We are trying to, I think both maps are trying to do that. So send it to both myself and Senator Linehan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Senators. My name is Nicole Stransky. That's NicoleStransky. And I want to thank you for your hard work, and I hope my perspective will help you further. I'm just a commonplace resident of Sarpy County, and I know my friends and my neighbors, and we have a unique identity, a unique culture. We're suburban, we're military, fading into acreages and countryside. We're completely different from Douglas County. In fact, we live in Sarpy County because we don't want to live in Douglas County. I mean, it seems like a lot of us don't want to have much to do with Omaha, but I came here today because it's important for us Sarpians to stay together so that our voices can be heard, because what we have in common, we have these common interests, and I want to see them fairly represented. So I'm in favor of LB1 because it keeps Sarpy County united. And I resent that LB2 steals a portion of Sarpy County, and it creates this minority of Sarpians in Douglas. And I just fear that by making a minority, their voices will no longer be heard. Their interests will be overlooked. They'll be squashed under the heel of the big city of Omaha. So I just respectfully ask you to do what's right for the people of my county. We all deserve fair representation, and please keep Sarpy County united. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the committee? Senator Blood.
Thank you, Senator Linehan. Were you aware of how the map was previously drawn in 2011? how a piece of Sarpy County was drawn out at that
No,
time as
I've
well?
only been a Nebraskan for 5.5 years. I'm a very proud Nebraskan by choice.
Well, welcome to Nebraska. Where do you live in Sarpy County, please?
I live Harrison and 156,
Okay.
so just south of Harrison, just barely in Sarpy County.
Can you tell me a little bit about the part of Sarpy County and that demographic, since you've expressed concerns about it potentially being part of
Well, I saw this a
Douglas?
lot during the pandemic. You know, I have to go use the library in Millard, and over there, it's like with the, I mean, you guys had a mask mandate in Douglas County, and
No, there's no you guys. I represent Sarpy. So you're talking about Old Town Bellevue, which actually the part that they've drawn into there is Fontanelle Hills, which has a lot of resident-wise issues that it does share with Douglas County. So I'm just trying to get on record exactly what that concern, because you brought that up, of that one part of Sarpy County. And again, I love Sarpy County. Everything you said about Sarpy County, we're awesome. We're the fastest growing county in Nebraska. I agree with you on those issues. All I am asking is for that one clarification, because you said you were concerned about that one part of Sarpy County that was drawn into now Douglas County, which we were drawn differently in the 10 years ago too as well, by the way. Why you think they don't have anything in common with Douglas County, that one part?
I'm just speaking from my heart, just knowing friends and neighbors spread across. I have some friends in Bellevue. I have some military friends. And it just the feel I get is that we Sarpians, we're more conservative. We're more family oriented. We like our guns. I mean, we don't like big city stuff. We enjoy being suburban.
Well, you know that people in Douglas County also have guns. People in Douglas County also have family values. So I just want to be, because you are new to Nebraska, and so I just, sometime you and I should have coffee and we'll walk through demographics and just Google Carol Blood, you'll find me, and we'll get together, I promise, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. We're getting a little punchy up here. Maybe, thank you very much for being here. And I like Sarpy County too, but I am from Douglas County. I'm going to follow. Okay, we'll do one more. And then I'm going to we need a break here. I can tell. And we'll still come back at 1:50. We need break.
I'll be back if everybody wants.
Hello, my name is Luke Schroer, LukeSchroer. And I'm glad I followed up on that one because I'm also Sarpy County and I live in Bellevue, right by Everett Park. So I get to hear the national anthem every day from Offutt. And if I sound nervous, it's because this is my first time being at one of these. So I do encourage you to ask me questions. I'm a lifelong Nebraskan, grew up in Nuckolls County, Hereford Cattle Ranch. I support LB2 and LB4 just because I did live in downtown Omaha when I moved first into that area. And then I hated that I had to move, but life happened and I moved down to Bellevue. And I love Bellevue. I've got my front yard that I get to take care of, but everywhere I go is up into Douglas County. And I just went to a picnic a little over a week ago in North Douglas County, Skate Fest we just had up there. I have never accidentally found myself in Saunders County, so I don't know why that's looped in with us. My whole corridor is kind of up, and then I get a little bit over into Papillion area. I worked in Papillion when I first got there, but I'm gonna keep going because I'm gonna ramble otherwise. But yes, when I lived in Nuckolls County, I did like that, the smaller chunks. Let's see, this will be LB4. They had Clay County, Nuckolls, and Webster together. That was kind of like, that's where I grew up. I showed cattle in Webster County for 4-H. I worked up at the Meat Animal Research in Clay Center. That makes sense to me to put those together. And good, intelligent daily life design should be forgettable. If you're stuck in traffic, that's memorable, and that's bad design. When I look at this one, there, LB3 has so many deviations. It's not simple. It's not intelligent, good design. It looks like it's trying hard. And I don't know if that, you can ask me questions on what I mean by that if you want. I see I'm running out of time, but like good design should be forgettable in daily life. I mean, like sometimes you want design to make a statement, but daily life, if I'm swiping on an app, I should be able to find what I'm looking for easy. If I'm driving down the road, I should get somewhere easy. It shouldn't be hard. And that's good design. And that's why I think 2 and 4 make more sense to me. They're simple, they're compact, just like we're supposed to be. I don't know. If you guys have questions, I'm done rambling.
Thank you very much, Mr. Short. Are there questions? Senator Blood?
Just a quick one. Where in Bellevue do you live, please?
I live right by Everett Park. So like right to the east of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I live, yeah. So I would be, yeah, so on LB2, I would be put back into that district that I would have been had I lived in downtown, and I love that. It was a mess I moved right in between primaries and the general, so I had to relearn all my people that I was voting for, but that's part of that comes with the territory of moving, so.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Are there other questions from the committee? Thank you for being
All
here.
right, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna break until,
Until when?
no, wait a minute.
No, just, Grant, can you get the 2 on this side and 2 on this side, so at least they were already moving up, nobody hops the line? And then,
Thank you. That's very nice.
When are we coming back?
Can we come back at 1? Or do you want to, you think?
One should work.
Let's 1. We're coming back at 1. Press, are you hearing that? So I don't have.
So,
we're gonna fall apart.
I don't understand some of the stuff less concerned me that thinks people